Well, how's it going? I'm Mark Duffy and welcome to my channel. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to control your photography through blending exposures. Roll the titles. What is exposure blending and is it difficult to do? No. It's not overly difficult to do, it depends on the photo. Some photos are easier than others. In this case, I'm going to be showing you a simple example to blend 3 exposures together. Why do we need exposure blending? Well, for me, my personal taste, I like to achieve in my photographs what my eye sees at the time when I'm photographing. And your camera's never going to see it because it doesn't have that dynamic range. So you're either going to need to use an ND grad filter or exposure blend. It's up there with Windows versus Mac, PlayStation versus Xbox. With this method here, you can make up your own mind on this one. I'm just going to be using a simple image and we're going to be using 3 exposures for this image, and I'm going to show you how we blend them together. And I'm actually going to show you as well how I use different exposures to do a natural dodging and burning on my photos. Let's see how this is done. Let's see how this cake is baked. So this is the image we're going to be working on, sunset at Loughcrew Cairns, County Meath. If you want to see where any of these are located, I will leave a link to the geotag and you can visit them on Google Maps. Check the link down in the description below and you'll be able to see where this is on the map. So let's see how we're going to get into this image. Now, from the last tutorial I did, a few people come back asking, how do you import images? Can you show me that? So I'm just going to press G here just to go back to grid. So we're going to come back. I've changed the foldering system here and I'm going to import images for this one. So we're going to come down to import. And I'm going to go into my D drive, that's where I have it set, photography, and I have a new folder here for photography tutorials. And this is how your photos should look when you come in to import them. Everything is selected and everything is highlighted, so you just come down and hit import, and that's it, simple. If you have them in library, you can hit E to expand them, and then just use your directional buttons just to go through them. So here's the 3 images I have here. So this is going to be my shadows and sky photo. This is going to be my base exposure, and this is going to be the highlights exposure. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I will edit these. So you come up to develop, and the first thing we're going to do is the white balance. We're just going to test on auto, which is exactly not what we wanted. So we're going to go down to shade. And I know from checking on my notes that I actually added in more tint, so I'm just going to bring that up now to 24. And see, I just want to push these colors out now. So I'm going to try and control these highlights. And there would be about right. So in this case, if I go out minus 100, it's killed the image. So you just want to go until it's right. So this is a good example of not needing to go minus 100 every time. I think 26 should be fine with this. So for shadows, I think we can boost a good bit here. Possibly around about 60, I think would be okay. Again, I'm really only looking at the sky because I'm going to add contrast anyway to it. So the next thing I want to do is clarity, but I don't want to add too much clarity. I don't like too much clarity in my skies. So I'm just going to maybe about plus 23. And again, as I said before, when you bring in clarity, you lose vibrancy. So I'm going to bring that back in again. We're going to go plus 40 with that. That's looking good there. And then the whites need to be added back in again as well. So we're just going to boost on the whites. So I'm going to hold the Alt button down and then drag across so I can see the whites. Don't want them hitting the red, so just bring it back. Probably about 7, I'd say 7, yep. And then for the blacks, we're going to just, again, hold Alt and go left. Don't need to introduce too much blacks. As you can see, there's a lot of blacks already in it. And for this one, I'm just going to see by eye. I think right there, 19 should be fine. And then we just need to add a bit of contrast in. That looks pretty good there. Again, I'm going to come down to the tonal curve. So remember, shadows, midtones, and then highlights. And we're all just looking again towards our histogram. So just going to grab here and just pull down a little bit. See the difference there? That's a bit where I'm looking. And up here. Right, okay. Now, the next step, I'm going to use the eye because I need to see what my ISO was. So it's 50. So again, 100 rule for ISO 50. I'll set it to 80. Then the difference between 100 and 80 is 20. So I'm going to set my luminance to 20. And that's the sharpening done. Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing as well. I forgot to put in the masking. I'm applying sharpening to everything, you need to mask it. So if you hold the Alt button, and whatever is white is going to be the only thing sharpened. And I usually like to have around about maybe 73 or 74. You don't want loads of sharpening added all around the image. You just want the main points, and basically just the edges is what you really want. So if we toggle here and just watch over here what happens. Just a subtle change. And we're going to come down, and I always select remove chromatic aberrations no matter what, and I always select enable profile corrections, and it always selects the right lens. And then I'm going to come down and just add a little bit of vignetting, not too much. Yeah, probably about there, and then just fade that down a bit. So then we come up to the color. So we go luminance, and we're going to control. This is the initial dodging and burning. So just going to hit I again to take that detail off. This is where I really need to see into this corner here. So we go to the reds, and I'm not going to touch the reds. I think they're fine. Oranges, where are we going with the oranges? Maybe pull them down a little bit, not too much. And the yellows, I might bring them up a bit. Greens, there's not really any greens in the image. I don't think there's any aquas in the image, not really, maybe over here. Blues, and then purples. Now if you go really dark, you can really lift these, but then it kind of looked a bit unnatural, so what do I want to do there? I might darken. And then for the magentas, I'm going to raise that a bit. So we go into saturation now, and again, bring everything to 0 and then bring them in individually so you can see exactly what each channel is actually doing. So double click the red, bring it back to 0, and yeah, red is okay at 0. Oranges, whoa, a bit strong. Might bring it back for the time being. Let's see. Yellows, might bring them up a bit. There's not much green in the scene, not much aqua in the scene. Blues, not much blues either. I might just boost the blues a bit. Purples, might bring them down a little bit. And then the magentas. Now, sometimes in order for these to actually really pop, you need to pull back the saturation. If the saturation is too strong, like here, it just doesn't work. But if you bring it back a bit, it just works just that little bit. I might bring them oranges and see. Yeah, I might boost the oranges. What are the yellows? Now the great thing with this, it's the great thing I love about Lightroom. We can sync all these changes that we've done across the board. So we're just going to come down here to the 3 images, select them all, and hit sync. Select everything, go again, and you see that they've already been changed over. So there's your base level, and there's the highlights. And you can see that they're quite blown out, so we're going to have to control them. So we're going to come back up here to highlights, bring it all the way down, and then bring them back up again. So that's muck. That's pure and utter muck, so you can't use that. So we'll bring that back up again. Now you don't need to focus too much on the sky, because don't forget we're replacing that sky with this layer. But we need them to blend along here, so you need to focus on that. So maybe about there, I'd say would be alright. 60's okay, maybe just bring up the shadows just a little bit more. I'll bring these down and just start them again. So actually what I'll do is, you know what, I might actually just add a little bit more contrast, clarity. Yeah, about 35. I tend to do that. I tend to add more clarity in the foreground. Not too much, just a little bit more. I really don't like much clarity in the skies. I never really did. Let me see, where are we going to go with this now? What's that doing? Do we want that high? I don't know. What do you think? No? Thanks for answering. All right, where we go? No, don't want it that high. Blacks, where are we with the blacks? Again, don't want it too low because you're adding a lot of contrast, and we have a contrasted image already. Probably there. Yeah, let's see before and after on this one. It's pretty good. Again, it brings the argument to why you need to shoot RAW over JPEG. You just wouldn't retain that kind of information on a JPEG. It would be destroyed with noise all over. So we'll go back over to this one. Definitely going to have to control this a lot more. Bring that down to about 80, I'd say. And bring that one up. I'm going to bring this up a bit more because it is the highlights, and I'm only going to be using it sparingly in the final image. The whites are just about the clip, you can see there. So I'm just going to bring the whites till the clip and bring them back. There, the blacks, how are you looking? Yep. I'd never bring it up to 40 now in the blacks. It wouldn't be what I would normally do. So we're going to go about 26. Go 26. Again, I nearly forgot. Bring that to 40. Now I could have synced up from this one, but I remembered my edit, so it's fine. So that's all I need to do, really. It's pretty simple. Just get the one image that you're happy with. This is really going to be the focus of this image, is the sky. This color lasted for possibly 20 minutes. I had enough time to leave here, climb on top of that, and photograph down as well before the color dissipated. I never saw a sunset like that in my life. Yeah, so there's the 3 images. So what we do now to get these blended together is just highlight them all, right click, and we just go edit, open as layers in Photoshop, and it does what it says. It's going to open them as layers in Photoshop. Don't mind this, I don't know what happened here. I updated my Lightroom at the same time I opened up Photoshop, and I got this compatibility thing since it hasn't affected any of my photos. So if you do see this, just hit open anyway. It doesn't really do anything to your photos. Okay, so here's the 3 images now in Photoshop, and as you can see, if you use the eye tool, you can see each and every one of them. So close the first layer down, and the second one, and you can see they're still. So that's highlights, base, and your shadows. So how do we expose these? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a selection for the full foreground. I'm going to add a layer mask to the sky. So we're going to do what we did the last time with my double exposure. We're going to press W for quick selection tool, and we're going to use the squiggly brackets to make a much bigger selection. So put that there and just click away. And actually with the one click it nearly got it. So I'm going to zoom in, so that's going to be Control and plus or Command and plus if you're on Mac. A bit too close in there. So I'm just going to refine this a little bit. Bring it down with the squiggly brackets again. And I'm going to hold the Alt button, and you'll see the minus in the middle of that circle. So you see the plus, hold the Alt down, you'll see minus, and you just click, and it will know where the selection is going. Somehow Photoshop knows what you want. It just knows what you want. So we're going to go here. Yeah, and just keep going. Now I know from doing this, from the final photo, this section here doesn't have to be the best selection in the world, because you're going to actually add in some of that shadow just so it blends in better. So the more important part is really up here. And I'm going to show you a trick that I do. Not everyone has to do it, but for this one we don't necessarily need to go up to select and mask. It's not really going to do anything for us. Like it'll show us with the red overlay, and you can change the different overlays you want in there. Like I usually like to use the red one. It's pretty distinct. But you can see there's the selection there. So if you're not happy with it, you can add in more. You can do all the changes, but I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to cancel that out because I don't need it. So I'm just going to zoom in again. Let's have a look here. What are we dealing with? So what I'm going to do is I am going to go up to select, modify, and I'm going to contract this in by 1 pixel. I'll show you why. The edges. I'm bringing the selection away from the edge, just that slight bit, because when you're trying to fix that, if you're showing just a little bit more shadow on the edge, it tends to give the eye the impression that it's a cleaner cut than what it is. It's just a nice wee trick that I found I find it to be useful. Not everyone has to use it. I don't think a lot of people do use it, but I use it. So we have the selection active. So if we want to put a layer mask on and have this effective, we just go here. And that walked wrong. Whoops. So Control Alt Z, step back. I forgot. I selected the ground. So if I wanted to have a layer mask for the base level, just to show that would be perfect, but I want the sky. So Control Shift I to invert the selection, so now the sky is only being selected. Then come down to your new layer mask. Because the selection is active, it makes that area the only thing that will be in white. Remember, white reveals and black conceals. So we're going to press B for brush now, and what we're going to do now is we're going to just clean up this area a bit, because you can see that's not a good edit, not one bit at all. So light brush 20%, make it pretty big. Make sure it's set to white this time, not black, because we want to add to the image. We don't want to take away from it, so we want to add more sky to this. And we're just going to darken here a bit. Just keep adding it in until it just looks pretty natural. There. See here, it's just folding in on it. I think that's it. Just add a little bit up here. There's a bit of haloing going on, so just I'm just bringing this across. Alt and click the thumbnail, and you can see how the actual mask looks like. That looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. So I don't want the highlights layer to be at the bottom. I want the base level to be at the bottom. So I'm going to go Control and squiggly brackets twice, bring it up to the top, and then I'm going to hold Alt and click for new layer mask. And there you have it. It's added black. And I'm just going to, again, keep with the white. I'm going to hold on to the brush, and then I'm going to add in some highlight areas. And this is how I use multiple exposures to dodge and burn my images. So if I wanted to highlight this, just add in a bit more here. And this is just literally, I can't give you any tips on this. This is purely down to taste. There's only so much you can teach in photography, and then it comes down to taste. And how much is too much? How much salt do you like in your chips? How much vinegar do you like in your chips? Do you know, I like pepper in my chips. Some people don't like black pepper in the chips. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I know people who don't like red sauce. Like, what's wrong with them? Just gonna add it here. I really want to highlight this area, and I might just give this 2 clicks. 1, 2. No, too much. Way too much. Maybe just a single one. Just add a little bit of a highlight just to give a bit of power to that sun. I'm going to use this selection here that we had before. What I'm going to do is I want to highlight here, but I don't want to affect the sky. So we're going to come to the layer mask for the sky, hold the control button, and you'll see that box has come up with the dotted lines. Click it, and there we have the selection. So now I can use that. So what I want to do is, if I paint now, it'll add to the sky. Watch. See, don't want that. So we're going to Control Alt and Z, and then I'm going to go Control Shift I, flips the selection. Now I'm only affecting the foreground. Make it a little bit smaller, and then just work away with whatever I want to highlight a bit more. That chair especially. I know it doesn't look like one. It's like a good luck charm. You walk around the cairn and then you sit on this. There was a couple that did it when I was there. Very romantic. But yeah, I'm just gonna add something like this and then deselect that. And what I'm going to do now is, I think this is all too bright, so I'm going to bring back some of that foreground that was dark in this. So again, selecting the layer mask, having it on white, I'm going to bring it up to 40% here. Big brush. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to add in, there's a natural vignette from here. 40% was too much. Go back out of that. I was wrong. I really should have looked at this. This is the only thing, is when I do these images, I have no notes I can work off. Like, you can't tell from that layer mask what I did. So it's, again, it's down to taste and it's down to what you feel on the night, and it's very hard to replicate this. So you just have to bear with me on it. I might just try it a few times. I think what I might do is I might just bring this all back in by 10%. I think I did that in the end. So I'll just paint the whole area by 10. Yeah. And then I might just reduce. I'm going to go up to the highlights and I'm going to reduce that by 10. So I have it selected on white. So if I press X, that'll flip it to black. And then I'm just going to paint straight over it. Bring that down by 10%. Yeah. It's looking all right there. And I might just bring in a tiny bit of contrast onto the image. So we will just come to the curves, adjustment, bring that down a little bit, just a tiny bit, and bring it a little bit up. And that sometimes can help. And that's it. That is how you do an exposure blend. So if we show what we've done with this, take off the curves and then just take off each layer. So there's the highlights. That's what the difference the highlights done. If you think that's too strong, you can always bring down the opacity and bring it in. And if I was to do it, I think that's where I would leave it. Maybe there, 45%. Get rid of that, and let's get rid of the sky. And you can actually just, if you hold and drag on all of them, you can bring them all in together at the same time. That's what they look like there. So what I'm going to do is, just to show you before and after, I'm just going to select all them layers, Control and G to group them, and then turn it on and off. Just before, from a single image, after. So that was a basic example of how to do an exposure blend. Not too difficult because of the scene we were working with. It can get a bit more difficult, but if you spend the time, you will get there. I hope you liked that. I hope you got something from it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. I post every Thursday, so if you want to ring that bell to get notified when I post up a new video. And you can catch me on Facebook, Instagram, or my website, my name plus photography equals.com, markduffyphotography.com. And until the next time, later gators.